It is not what we take up, but what we give up that makes our life meaningful. We can go through life trying to get as much as possible, or we can take every opportunity to give as much as we can. The spirit of self-denial and self-sacrifice marks the life of truly great men and women. It is not the quantity, but the quality of our words and deeds that makes our lives relevant and worth remembering. A watch may have a gold chain, but if it doesn't tell the time, it is useless. A fruit tree may be teeming with blossoms, but if it doesn't produce fruit, it is useless. A lamp may be studded with diamonds, but if it doesn't give light, it is worthless. And a faith that doesn't result in good works is a dead faith. A tiger in the jungle laughed at and mocked a little sparrow who was carrying water in her beak to put off a forest fire. The tiny bird was not giving up. "I am doing my bit," she chirped, and she challenged the mighty tiger to do the same. Many of us are paper tigers on social media. We are armchair philosophers and hyperactivists on Facebook and Twitter and WhatsApp, advising and telling everyone else what to do and offering solutions to every problem in the world without lifting a finger ourselves. Words are empty unless we back them with deeds. Jesus was never interested in what people thought about him, nor was he swayed by public opinion. In Mark chapter 8, 27 to 35, Jesus asked his disciples one of the most important questions in the gospel. Who do people say that I am? Jesus asked the question not for his own sake, but for the sake of his apostles and disciples and for each one of us. And the answers were way off the mark. Some had no faith, some had little faith, some had a mistaken faith. Then he turned to his apostles and asked, "And you, who do you say I am?" Peter, on behalf of the disciples, volunteers and gives the answer, "You are the Christ." This is the core faith on which the church is founded. Peter knows this not because of his intelligence, but because it is revealed to him. Immediately after Peter acknowledges that Jesus is the Christ, the Son of God, Jesus speaks of his passion and death. Jesus makes this three-pointed disclosure that the Messiah must suffer, that his disciples must be prepared to share his suffering, and that his and their suffering will lead to ultimate glory. To believe in Jesus is to be ready to be like him, even if it means paying the price of suffering and death. Who do you say I am is a question that forces us to think about our beliefs and our faith. There are two kinds of faith: inherited faith from our parents, grandparents, and ancestors, and personal faith, which comes from our individual conversion and transformational experience. Faith does not come from reasoning. It is a gift of God given freely. There is a danger that inherited faith can become second-hand faith and so empty and devoid of any excitement. If inherited faith has to be kept alive, we have to make it our own with our personal convictions. We know that Peter did not fully understand what he said. He did not know that Jesus would be a suffering Messiah. That is something he had to learn, and learn the hard way. Peter made a perfect profession of faith. He got it absolutely right with his words. But when it came to acting on that faith, he failed miserably. His lowest point was when he denied that he ever knew Jesus, not once but 3 times. But that experience did not destroy Peter. He moved from inherited faith to personal faith, built on a transformational experience with Jesus. He realized that he needed God's grace not only to profess his faith, but also to live that faith. We are all familiar with the story and the tragedy of the mighty and supposedly unsinkable Titanic, which sank on its maiden voyage in 1912. 60 years earlier, INS Birkenhead, one of the first iron-hulled ships, struck a submerged rock and sank. At least 450 precious lives were lost in this tragic disaster on 25th of February 1852. As the waters flooded the ship, it is rumored that Lieutenant Colonel Seton commanded his young and inexperienced men to stand fast in the sinking ship and not to endanger the lives of the women and children in the lifeboats. INS Birkenhead has secured a place in history thanks to the bravery of these men who, in the face of peril, stood fast to allow the women and children to escape in the lifeboats. This terrible disaster is remembered not only because of the great death toll, it is also because women and children first became the standard naval protocol after the Birkenhead disaster. The deeds of men and women at sea reveal their true character and outstrip their words. May our deeds, not our empty words, reveal that we are followers of the Master. Amen.